Hey guys, it's Marni from the Ask Women podcast. Buying a car is a not so fun experience for most people, and it doesn't have to be. At TrueCar.com, they'll help you get rid of the fear that you may overpay. You know you'll get a fair price because they show you what others paid for the car you're looking for. TrueCar.com analyzes what people are paying for their cars in their market and shares it with consumers so that they never have to overpay. Over 40,000 cars were sold by TrueCar certified dealers just last month. Users see an average savings of $3,046 off MSRP. TrueCar certified dealers go through a certification process, and you work directly with a TrueCar representative that will honor your savings. TrueCar certified dealers believe that truth and transparency are essentials to a better buying experience. First, go to TrueCar.com and find out what others pay for the same vehicle in your market and around the country. Second, register at TrueCar.com to see upfront pricing information and lock in your savings certificate. And the third step is simple. Just print out your certificate and take it to the TrueCar certified dealer for a better hassle-free buying experience. TrueCar has the most comprehensive new car pricing information available and a certified network of dealers that offers a hassle-free car buying experience and negotiation-free guaranteed savings. Support the Ask Women podcast and shop at TrueCar.com.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women podcast. A place where two comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Booze. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women podcast where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm Kristen, you know me, comedian, actor, confused human. Of course, here with Marni Kinrys, best-selling author, owner of the Wing Girl Method, and now, big title, a mom.
Is that a big title? Because actually, that's been quite confusing for me, to be honest.
I mean, anyone can earn the title.
Yeah, oh, exactly. I forgot the rules. I didn't know how it works. But yeah, it's actually a title I've been struggling with, to be honest.
Yeah, it's weird because when you hear mom, you just instantly think old.
Yeah,
but there's 20-year-old moms,
not hot.
Right, but it's
unless
not.
You're like a
it's
hot
not
mom,
always
that
the
happens
case.
way later.
No, you're a hot mom.
Well, that's true.
Marni's boob size has increased.
Has tripled.
Dramatically.
It's ridiculous.
And it was already pretty large to begin with. But before we talk about anything else, we have Jason Capital coming in with us. He's going to jump in a little bit into the show. You guys might remember him. He was on a while ago and has really good flirting tips, things like that.
Yeah, and
also,
he was able to turn Kristen on and make her very uncomfortable, as well as Mo. Mo had a huge crush on him.
Mo had more of a crush. I don't have a crush on him.
Really? Let's see what happens to your body language when he walks into the room.
No. I think he's good at bantering, but I genuinely am not. But I mean, I shouldn't say that.
He could make out with you. He could get you to make out with him.
No, he couldn't.
Yes, I think he could.
No, I don't physically connect with him. But
I
honestly, it's because he's not here, and I'll tell him this when he gets here. He wears too many bracelets. Genuinely.
Really?
You know what I've realized about doing podcasts or doing any sort of dating expert things is all the guys that are pickup artists or whatever they call themselves wear bracelets.
Yeah, and rings.
It's like a thing.
And necklaces. I know. It's not wear a lot of shit.
It's a little bit of a turnoff. It's too much. It's too much. It's like, look how deep and interesting I am.
It's not my thing either, but I would make out with each and every one of them.
Well, good.
I totally would. I feel like he could make out with you.
Take off the bracelets. Maybe I'd think about it.
Fine. I'll advise him to do so. I should text him right now and just say, come in with no bracelets and let's see what happens. All right. Before we get started with the show.
Hold on. And then we also have Tammi Mac coming in, who she's an actress, but she has an awesome one-woman show called Bag Lady, and it's all about her exes. So I'm sure she'll have some funny stories.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before we get started with our show, let's get started with a Wing Girl Minute. It actually is going to be a Wing Girl 10 seconds because a phone number does not guarantee success. This one goes hand in hand with another tip I've given before in the past, and we've talked about many times on the show. It's easier for a woman to hand out her phone number than reject you straight to your face. So again, a phone number does not guarantee a success. It just guarantees a way to contact her and also a way for her to flake on you and ignore you. And that is this week's Wing Girl Minute.
I'm the latter part of that minute.
Really?
The flaking.
The flaking. Well, most women are. I will be honest. I would say, for every 10 numbers that a woman gives out, not individual numbers, I'm just saying,
number one,
for guys,
number 7.
Exactly. There isn't really a huge possibility she's going to respond to you.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a much easier way to get someone to kind of just leave you alone without being rude. But what would you suggest How would men read that? Like, how do they know when it's going to equal success, and how do they know when it's just
because they have to pay
a get away
attention
from
to
me?
the interaction before and after the phone number is given, okay? So if you're bantering with a girl, but you're not really connecting, you're in your head, she's not really getting your joke, she's giving you one-word responses, she's looking around for an exit strategy, and then you're like, oh, can I have your number? And she's like, oh, sure. And she's like not very enthusiastic about giving it to you, and then very clear that once she gives it to you, she wants to get the hell away. Most likely you're not going to get a response.
Right. And also, I think guys should know as well. I feel like I don't want to make this just like a rejection episode, but if you
Let's
say
make a rejection episode.
yes, I could make every show a
Yeah,
rejection
exactly.
Episode. I have so much experience with it.
Yeah.
If a girl gives you, if you say, can I have your phone number? And a girl gives you her email address, excuse me, my voice is cracked. If she gives you her email and or says, oh, just hit me up on Facebook,
Oh, rejection.
that means rejection.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So that is, again, not a success once you get a phone number. A success is actually getting on the date with a person that you like. So not just getting on a date with any girl because she'll say yes to you, but getting a yes. God, your microphone is falling apart. What did you do to it?
I don't know.
She's breaking shit.
But I'm
we
gonna
get
use
back
it.
into
No,
the
I swear to
studio.
God, you're the only one that breaks microphones.
Really?
It's because I'm a rock star.
Exactly.
I just dropped
Start
shit.
throwing shit on the windows.
The thing
it.
is because I always try to get it in a comfortable
I'll
position.
come in there and fix that later. By the way, are you wearing a bracelet I see there?
No,
Oh, yeah.
these are head rubber bands for my hair.
making sure.
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
girls can wear as many bracelets as they want. They're still, I mean,
Anybody can do
8
whatever
means
they
a
want.
bitch.
Live and
but-
let live, you know.
Exactly.
I wanted to wear
Exactly.
10 bracelets, I could too. I don't.
Look at Jason Capital.
No, I don't believe
now
in that
he's
live and
texting
let
me
live
saying,
shit.
"What room are you in? 345? Do people not read instructions? Jesus. Okay,
Mom's coming out.
and my text is not going through to him, so I don't even know. We're calling him on the phone. Should I call him on the show right now? I don't even know how to call him because my text won't go through to him. I'm not sure what to do. Art, tell me what to do.
We're kind of all three of us locked right here. We can't move.
Well, I am calling him right now,
You just put it
and
on
you're going to
speaker,
be on
then just put it
speaker.
on speaker?
I'm going to tell him he should pay more attention to instructions before he comes to a show.
Jason Capital getting housed.
Or a mommy brain
Going
woman should not be
capital on
sending
capital, so that-
information because maybe I screwed him up.
He's acting like Jason lowercase right now.
Yeah, exactly. He better not have bracelets or that guy is fucked when he gets into the studio. Now he's not even answering.
Are you sure he wants to?
He can't lift his arm with all the bracelets.
He's probably back in Santa Monica still, just like totally messing with us. Jesus.
I'd rather have David Weigand at this point.
Hi, you're on the air right now. We're in 295. Get your ass in the studio.
You're starting at -5 right now.
Yeah, exactly. So not turned on by that. But okay, so let's talk about something, and I want Jason's opinion when he gets in here as well. Okay, so as the listeners know, we don't always record these live because there are things that are happening in our lives that may entail or require us to take some time off, like having a person and raising a human being. So we've had doubled up on our episodes. So some of the stuff we talk about may not be completely in sync with what's actually going on. But while we were on hiatus, there were some
Let's
shootings.
be truthful. We're really just not up to date on the world around us.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to
We're
talk-
just reading about this now.
I was like, let's talk about the war in Iraq. I don't know. But so
9/11.
the 9/11, exactly. A horrible situation. But okay, so the shootings that happened in Santa Barbara, I'm not sure if people really know very much about the situation. I would assume they do because it was all over the media. But there were shootings that happened in Santa Barbara at a college up there by a kid, really, who was very angry about being rejected by women. He was on websites like puahate.com, which has now been taken offline because all this banter. It's like all these guys group in one space.
Is PUA hate meaning I hate pickup artists?
Mhm. So they go on there, they bash pickup artists, they bash women, they really just talk about their rejection. And when you go into a forum where everybody's talking about like how horrible women are or how hard it is, it just feeds into what you actually believe rather than having like some positive voice who's like, okay, you may believe this now, but here's a positive way to get a better result with women. So this guy was on these forums. He was, he would go on and he would, have long rants about how women reject him. I saw his video online. Did you watch that
Oh,
video
yeah,
of him?
yeah.
It was very disturbing.
I felt like
I couldn't stop watching it.
You know when you see, I don't know what they're called, but when you see the black and white thing that's like a circle and it just keeps spinning,
Yeah.
that's what I felt like I was getting sucked into like this vortex.
Yeah,
Really-
that's what I felt like too. Like the ha ha ha. Everybody
Yeah,
would laugh in there.
yeah.
It was very weird. So there's something obviously like, it's not just him going on and ranting. There's obviously something that's a further level of, off.
yeah.
And he's very disturbed.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your opinion on sort of like what you thought about this, because for the people that are listening, obviously we're freaking funny and this is a very entertaining show, but the purpose of this show is to educate you on women. And what happened with him, a lot of people who are listening could be on the verge of having that attitude towards women and becoming that angry towards them. So what's your opinion?
Well, the first thing I thought when I saw his final rant about killing people, and how much he deserved women and how his life was ruined by all these other people having fun, in this weird, small, tiny way, I semi-related.
Yeah.
Because from struggling with depression for a very long time, I always looked at everyone else as like, look at them enjoying their life and look at them having fun and look at them with friends, as I stood in the background and watched.
And I deserve to have that too.
Right. Like what did I do wrong? Nothing. I'm better than these people.
Right.
I deserve it more than they do. Which I still believe, by the way.
Obviously.
I'm amazing. And I just thought, because I've come through that and I've gotten to the other side, I'm 31, and I was really trying to hold off on that.
Let's be honest.
Just happened. That I've gotten to the other side. And so all I kept thinking was, I wish, obviously aside from his like mental problems, I wish that he had the foresight to know that things don't stay the way they are in the moment. They may feel like they'll last a lifetime, but before you know it, you'll be on the other side. And I remember my mom said that to me. I was about 20 years old, and I was struggling with eating. I had gained like weight in college, and I was obsessed with food, and I couldn't eat peacefully. And I said to my mom, I was like sobbing and so upset, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to go the rest of my life like this. And she basically said, you don't know it now, but this is not always going to exist for you. Like, you will come through this and there's another side. And I didn't believe her at the time. And then once I got through it, it was like, oh, looking back on it, I didn't have the maturity to know. So that's one thing that I wish he could just realize. He was like 19 years old or
I think 22.
20. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
And that there's more beyond the horizon. However, in his case, because he was so bizarre and he was like, why don't you women like me? It's like, well, don't refer to women as you women.
Exactly.
Like, I refer to some crowds when I do stand up as like you people.
Right.
Which I understand. People who love Seinfeld understand, but like the audience doesn't understand. So he clearly wasn't connecting. He was talking at. If he was talking to women, he was talking at them.
Right.
And it was creepy and weird, and he had a very strange vibe. You're obviously not going to get anywhere with women. And
but I want to talk more about what you were saying with like the eating stuff, because it totally ties into this. And it's a really good chapter in the Man's Playbook.
Are you horny to win?
I'm falling apart today.
Are you horny to win?
Yes, I am. I'm horny to win for sure.
Lose.
Oh, apparently this is going to be gross for people who are listening, but I've been given the go ahead to have sex.
Oh, by the doctor?
Yes, by the doctor. She's like, your vagina is great. Get on it.
You're like at the starting line.
Yeah,
and they
so
just
this
blew
weekend,
the gun.
watch out, husband. I'm going to sex you up. Anyway, so what I want to talk about for the chapter in the Man's Playbook today is about everything you just said about, like, don't worry, it'll be great once you get to the other side, but about working to get to the other side.
Right, and it took me a lot of work.
Yeah, so, like, the thing is like, you can't just sit and do the same thing and think, oh, well, in 6 years this is going to go away naturally because that will just happen with time. It actually takes work. So, like, can you talk to me a bit more about, not the work specifically that you did, but what made you realize you actually had to do work? Oh, here's Jason. Scarf today.
No.
Wearing a scarf.
Oh,
How's
no.
that?
Oh, no. Okay, 4 bracelets?
No, 1 bracelet. Oh, yeah, 3 bracelets and a scarf.
If you took off the scarf, I wouldn't even see the bracelets at this point. Or if you keep it, I don't know.
We were just bashing you before you got in.
We're confused.
Because I was saying that she would totally make out with you, and she said you wear too many bracelets.
To be made out with?
Yes.
They're not going to get.
It's like a pickup artist thing. You guys like identify yourselves with lots of bracelets.
I don't know. So do like weird yogi spiritual people,
right?
Like people in like Ojai,
or like
bracelets.
People who are into like hair metal still or something. I don't know.
I think I'm too young to understand.
I think you are. So we're talking about to like get a little bit somber for a second. We're talking about the Santa Barbara shootings, and the guy who did the shootings. Because we were talking about, how he felt that women owed it to him to be with him. He was talking at women, but then Kristen was telling a story about herself with the way that she used to eat in the past, and that her mom said to her, don't worry, like, it feels really horrible right now how you're eating. You're not going to have to do this for the rest of your life. It'll be better once you get to the other side. And then we were talking about the work that you actually have to do from from A to Z, to be at that point where you're like, oh, I can't believe that I was like this. And actually, you're the perfect person to talk about that. I was going to direct the question towards Kristen, but now I'm going to direct it towards you. What is the work for, I know, seriously, she's like breaking microphones to kick your ass. She's like, you wear a scarf in here, I'm going to kick your ass.
It's National Scarf Day.
Is it?
Yes. I was just explaining this to the woman at Morgan Stanley.
So it's National Asshole Day?
Both.
Oh, so you were chit-chatting in the hall. That's why you were late. You were picking up girls.
I apologize. Well, she was just my type, 67 with short hair.
67 years old with short hair.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, exactly. No, but I want to hear your opinion. Like, what is, for the guys who are listening, I'm not saying who are on the verge of going and, like, shooting up people, which hopefully nobody is on the verge of doing that who's
please
listening.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But what is the bright light at the end of the tunnel? Like, what's the advice that you would give to guys who are like, no, women are horrible. I should be that guy with them. Other guys are douchebags. I'm a failure. What do I do?
Well, the thing with what happened, and I've tried to pay some attention to it, but kind of just like looking at it kind of freaks me out, so I try not to, because it scares me, and I don't know if it scares you that like.
Oh, I checked to see if he was on my blog, and if I got emails.
He wasn't.
No, neither. I have another stalker though, but anyway, that's a different situation. but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that kind of freaked me out. The thing with that, and that I would tell any guy listening who is like harboring some anger against women right now, is that like that person did not take any responsibility for the results of their life. Like they blamed everything on everyone else. People who are like, things should be this way. Girls should want me just because I'm a guy and I showed up. Like people who believe that kind of shit. I apologize. People who believe that kind of shit, like one, obviously it makes me angry, but like you, if you're listening to this right now and you are angry that you think women should like you for no other reason than the fact that you showed up, you should look at this as, oh shit, I have an opportunity now to actually make something of myself. I can start taking responsibility for the results of my life right now for the first time ever. And what's great about taking responsibility for your life is that now you finally have some control over the results of your life. And it doesn't take that long. Like, if you're angry right now, you just put in a couple months work on working on your ability to communicate with women, because the way women communicate is different than how men communicate. Just learn it, get really good at it. It'll only take you a couple months. You will be able to have... It
actually will take a couple of months to reinforce that.
Sure, it's not going to happen overnight, but you will start seeing results the minute you decide that you're going to start changing something here. And within a couple months, you're going to be more attractive to women than 99% of guys out there.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to be able to have your pick. So get over the little angry stuff, get over the little entitlement attitude, drop that shit, and start making some real shit happen in your life.
So what's the new sentence that you tell to yourself? Like, what does taking responsibility actually mean?
It means that every outcome in your life, you have to understand that you were the cause of that. A lot of people, they either live at the cause of their lives or they live at the effect. And the people who live at the effect, they blame everyone for everything. Nothing's ever their responsibility. Nothing's ever their fault. Everything is happening to them. But people who live at the cause, they're being proactive. They're making shit happen in their life. They understand every good thing that's happened in my life, or every bad thing that's happened in my life, was because of something I did. I caused it. But when you take responsibility like that, that's powerful. Now all of a sudden you can look at your life and sure, all the bad shit that's happened in your life was your fault, but now all the success that you're about to experience is also your fault. Success becomes your fault. Yeah.
A really good sentence to remember, and I try and tweak it constantly, is he made me feel like, or she made me feel like. Nobody made you feel anyway. You made you feel. And I find myself tripping over that sentence constantly. And I'll always readjust myself. And when I do, it does slightly empower me, because I'm like, okay, wait a second. This was on me, which means I can alter it in some way. I think a lot of people think that they're powerless. Like that guy, even though he thought he was powerful because he took situations into his own hands, he was the most powerless person in the entire world, because that's the way that he had to get results.
And I think he actually said something like that in his final video. I think he said something like, I will show you who has the power.
Yeah.
The final power, or something like that.
No.
Oh my God.
No,
I watched it twice.
I probably can't. Did you?
Yeah, it freaked me out. I started crying.
It's very strange.
Emotional right now. I had a baby.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be that way. But yeah, okay, but I love what you said, taking responsibility. So first step is taking responsibility. Second step is going to get one of Jason's products by going to wingirlmethod.com/JasonC to learn how to talk to women and to understand a little bit more about yourself and women as well, because like that's like what you get from your programs, which is fantastic. But taking responsibility. So I think that perfectly wraps up this week's chapter in the Man's Playbook.
And before we go to a break for our guest Tammi Mac, I just want to do a quick Art Tinderella story. Da-da-da-da. Thank you.
You got like your fairy, your wand.
Stick this right up your butt. So this story, I'll summarize. It's not that long. But basically, this guy had a Tinder date. It started out going really well. They drank wine, watched a movie, and had sex. For me, that's like a totally like bad date. But then he said things went a little downhill. They laid in his bed, and she looked like she was about to black out. She eventually puked in his bed.
Oh, no.
All over the sheets and all over herself. So he brought her into the shower and basically was like drowning her because she like, couldn't move. He was like running the shower on her, and he said she was just like
limp and laying there?
and like sitting there. And he couldn't change the sheets. This guy obviously super not dateable because he didn't have another pair of sheets in his apartment. But he said so. He brought her back in, and they like laid on his mattress essentially. And
Puked again.
And no, but she emotionally puked because she said, let's see, that she wasn't born with a womb.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah, and started crying. And so anyway, then they slept all night on the bed, and then he woke up and made her breakfast, and then she went home. The end. But like the good thing is no pregnancy scare.
That's gonna
I would be like, awesome if she said that.
That's going to make an amazing story a year from now when they get married and everyone's like, so how did you guys meet? What was that first date?
And why
like?
don't you have kids?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's
Why are you
disgusting.
adopting?
Okay, note to all the guys who are listening, have 2 pairs of sheets.
Yeah.
It's disgusting if you only have 1 pair. I don't really know why it's disgusting.
Well,
But it
because
just sort of is.
I mean, sheets do get dirty and you sweat. But anyway, in the second half of the show, we will have Tammi Mac and
cut off by Kristen.
So
She's
we're
got a
gonna-
wand and she's like
Who
taking
else is
control of the
selecting
show.
that? Yeah.
we're going to take a break. And
Exactly.
we'll be right back.
Yay. Hey, it's Marni. Is your computer running slow? Well, mycleanpc.com can clean it up and speed it up today. Now, you might be asking yourself, how did my computer get this way? It's freaking frustrating, right? Well, opening infected small attachments, downloading music and games can slow your computer down. Over time, running these programs can cause junk files, internet clutter, processor, and hard drive errors to build up on your computer. MyCleanPC can help. First, go to mycleanpc.com and in minutes, you can get a free computer diagnosis and find out what's slowing down your computer. Then simply activate MyCleanPC software to clean out the junk, internet clutter, and even remove viruses. And MyCleanPC is guaranteed to increase the speed of your computer. I promise you. With MyCleanPC, there are 2 easy steps to speed up your computer. First, go to mycleanpc.com and get a free computer diagnosis. Then simply activate MyCleanPC software to optimize your computer performance. Go to mycleanpc.com today and find out what's slowing down your computer. That's mycleanpc.com. Go there now.
You're listening to the Ask Women podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Like, of course I'm going to.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ask Women podcast. We are here we were just getting a story from Tammi Mac, our guest, about Step to the Mic and how it meant something that we didn't expect when she was 15. You know what's funny is that when I was like in 8th grade, these guys were messing around with me and they were like, do you want a cookie? And I'm like, sure, I want a cookie. Of
course.
But then it meant
Why, what does that mean?
But then it meant like vagina. And I'm like I'm supposed to know that means vagina.
Well, that's not the way they're supposed to say it. Do you
Cookie
want a
means
cookie?
vagina?
Well,
Well,
cookie
it's like
does mean...
coochie, and they kept saying cookie.
No, I know cookie means vagina, but that's the wrong way to say it.
You
Do you
know
want
what?
a cookie means do you want a Chips Ahoy cookie?
Why are they offering you?
They're like, do you want?
exactly.
They have
Well, they're like, do you want to eat a cookie? They didn't have any actual cookies. I'm like, yeah, I'd eat a cookie.
chocolate chip.
Oh, eat a cookie.
Raisin,
That's
what do you
different.
got?
Then I get it.
Right.
Exactly. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, Tammi, tell us about yourself. I know that you have a show called Bag Lady. You have a radio show. I want to hear about you and your history with men.
Oh, God. Don't we all have a history with men?
Yes.
Jason, you have
Luckily,
a
mine is very short.
That is
have
for
it.
another episode. Let's hear that.
No, gosh. I just finished a one-woman show called Bag Lady. and the show is about relationships, how you have these bags that you continue to carry throughout your life because they're bags from previous relationships that you've had. And so some man does something to you and you carry that into the next relationship, and then he does something to you and then you carry that.
So you got a lot of bags.
It's bags, yeah. So it's called Bag Lady, and it's actually it's a personal story of mine. So all of the stories are true. And it takes you from the beginning of how you picked up the first bag, which is usually when you're a child, somewhere along the way. And then the story goes on to tell you how you eventually drop the bag. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
so
I see a wedding ring. So the bags have worked out. That's a good bag that you want.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah. Right. Well, but tell me about dropping the bags, because that's the interesting part for me, is that you were able to drop all of these bags. So everything that you bring to your next relationship every single time, how were you actually able to drop all those bags to get the prize of marrying somebody?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the prize is marrying somebody, though. I don't when we were doing the show, my director was like, well, you're married now, so maybe your husband can be in the background at the end of the show. And I was like, how cheesy
this is my show.
How cheesy can we be? And why do I want my husband's picture in the background?
He'll be pulling the car up to the door.
Yeah, exactly.
No. The prize is not the man. The prize is being okay with yourself, no matter whether you have a man or don't have a man. That's the prize. And it's figuring out what your value is, what your self-worth is, what you're willing to take and not take. I was a woman, I'm from the hood, y'all. So I love drug dealers. That was my thing.
Oh.
My men were all drug dealers. I was cooking crack in the house.
No way.
I was bagging. Hell yeah. I was bagging
We had
stuff
very
up.
similar upbringings.
For some kind
we
of
did on
reason, I don't
Sundays.
believe that.
I was just going to say, I really like drug dealers too. For different reasons.
Yeah, so I was bagging that stuff up. If you weren't a drug dealer, I didn't have time for you because
Really?
see, drug dealers are the stars of the hood. They are
It's you have a job at Merrill Lynch. I'm not talking to you.
No. Yeah, it's like Merrill Lynch. What is that?
Exactly.
I don't know what that is.
I love that.
It's cross streets.
Yeah, exactly.
Maryland Lynch.
Exactly.
That's corporate drug dealing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's like drug dealers and pimps are the celebrities in the hood. So you're either going to be a prostitute with a pimp, or you're going to be the girlfriend of a drug dealer.
Right.
So I chose the latter.
Was that a good choice?
I don't want to be a prostitute.
Right. So great choice. Cooking crack in the kitchen.
But
It looks fun.
Let's face it, aren't we all prostitutes in a way? We just
Exactly.
give our bodies away to these random men that we end up not being with.
Exactly.
It's like, what did I get out of that? Prostitutes are on to something.
Yeah, you see how it makes sense to ask for some money. You're like, I'm doing it. I might as well.
It only makes sense.
Give me
Literally.
What do I get out of this?
Exactly.
So I think it's because you feel like these are people who are riding around in fancy cars, and they're buying you Louis Vuitton, they're buying you Gucci and all of this fancy stuff, and you don't really have to do anything for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's also when you grow up in a certain atmosphere or environment, there's only one thing you see. So you don't know that there's another world out there. You don't know what your capabilities are, what your possibilities are. You just don't know because you don't get to see it.
Right.
So if I'm thinking all my life I want to be an actress, but then I'm looking on TV and all I see are white women, why do I feel like that's an opportunity that's available to me?
Right.
It's just not. So, I'll go the latter way. I'll go, to the streets. And that's kind of what my thing was. Even when I was in college, I was dating drug dealers. So I was in college I think I'm going to stick to what I know.
Right. Well, I can relate in the sense that where I'm from the middle of nowhere, no one does anything but become either a teacher or a stay-at-home mom, and no one. I'm from upstate New York. It's miles. It's obviously 3,000 miles from LA, but no one leaves and does anything different. So for me, just leaving was oh my God,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a shock, and you have to really be ballsy to be able to take that step because no one before you had done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
the
like if you're
options that
growing
you
up in
see.
Detroit, then the only thing available to you that you see are, generations of parents working for the car company, the automobile industry.
Yeah.
So
Are you from Detroit?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Okay. I'm from Detroit. I was gonna say.
Well, before, at the beginning part of the show, we were talking about the Santa Barbara shootings. I know we're a little bit delayed in talking about hot news topics, but, we haven't been on the show for a while.
We talk about them when they're cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice and,
when
nice and
everybody's
chilled.
done with them, that's when we pick them up.
Everybody
and start
loves
talking.
cold pizza.
Exactly. No, but we were talking about the the long and the short of the story is to take responsibility, that this guy hadn't taken responsibility. He was blaming everybody else. And it sounds like, that's very much in line with what you're talking about. It's about taking responsibility for your choices, for your options, for the life that you want to lead. So it sounds like that's what dropping the bags actually means.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it means. It means saying that this is the choice that I made. I own up to it. I take responsibility for it, and I forgive myself for it. That's the hardest part. Yeah. The hardest part is forgiving yourself, because we hold on to guilt our whole lives. My mother still holds on to guilt from times that maybe she made a wrong choice in raising me.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's like, I'm sure.
I'm sorry I made you wear those shoes.
I'm done with that. I'm good now.
Right.
Like, through that already.
Is this like an insult? Like, am I not doing well? Do you not like my bad?
Exactly.
So,
is there something else you want to focus on? But
so you have to forgive yourself.
Absolutely.
And you have to be like, all right, I did it. It's done. Move on. Let's learn from whatever it was and make a better choice.
So what helped you get to that place? Because it sounds like you were continuously collecting bags. So what suddenly made you want to drop the bags?
I don't know. Let me see. What made me want to drop the bags, Jason?
They were heavy?
They were getting a little heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They were getting a little heavy. And sometimes you do look at yourself and you go, this is just ridiculous. I think what happens, and it's so simple, Marni. It's so simple. What happens is you get tired. You just get tired.
Right.
It's like being with one man all your life who does you wrong in whatever way he does you wrong, but you continue to stay for whatever reason you stay. And when a woman makes up her mind to leave, it's so done that there's nothing that the man can do to regain whatever that is that had her heart in the first place. And I think that's what happened. I think what happened is I just got tired. I'm just looking at it like, look at this mess I've made. It's such a huge mess.
It's a lot of bags.
Right.
Yeah.
And it becomes
heavy.
Harder
3 bags from Trader Joe's, heavy. Don't like it.
It's harder to continue on that path than it is to have to figure out how to get on the other path. Like, that becomes the easier route, is the path unknown, when you're so tired from what you've been doing all along.
Right. That's true. Mm-hmm. But also, it's very scary to go a different route when you've been doing what you know for so long. And so you have to kind of convince yourself that you want something different.
Right.
You have to literally say, you know what? I want something different. Let me just try it and see how it works.
Well, but sometimes what happens, like I've noticed what happens with my clients and with myself, is that you get into a situation that could potentially be different, but you still twist it so that it ultimately becomes the same pattern as you were happening before. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, it's your responsibility. You're altering whatever relationship could potentially be fantastic and totally different and putting it back to the old ways. So I want to ask you about, because this show is mainly for men, and women listen to it too, but what could, like, let's say you were to date a man that was totally different from anybody else that you've ever dated before, but you still had that label on him as a man, and he could potentially do all of these things to you, plus you got your huge freaking bags with you. Right. So no matter what, he's going to end up being that same guy that you've been dating over and over again, and you're going to leave the exact same way. What could we advise to guys to do if they do start dating a woman who's like awesome and wonderful but has some bags to her, and they can see that the woman is doing this to them, that she's either seeing them the wrong way or sort of sending herself down a path of doom that could potentially ruin the relationship? What is something that a man can do to help this woman stop herself from going down that path?
There's 2 things a man can do. One is embrace her bags. The other is leave her.
Yeah.
And it sounds harsh, but that's really the only time. Like, something is like being on drugs. You have to hit rock bottom in order to come back up and really want something different. And so you have to, if you know, obviously you know that you've chosen someone different, but because of the bags you drag, you've labeled him the same man as before. But if you see him as different in the initial stages and you honestly feel that way, then you know when he leaves you that you've made a mistake and maybe you need to seek help, because there's nothing somebody else can do for you to change your mind, to change your perspective. That's why it's called your mind, your perspective. Self-esteem, that's your esteem. It's nobody can lower your self-esteem. It's called self-esteem.
You got to own it. No, but that's really interesting how you just phrase that, because a lot of the guys that write into me, I'm sure, Jason has the same thing, and even for our show, they write in about these women that are, damaged. In the man's mind, and they keep trying to help over and over and over again. They're like, what else can I do to help her?
That's the problem, because every time she's had that bag, or she ran that pattern, because it's just a pattern that she's running over and over again with the same guy, is every guy in the past, I can almost guarantee, has done that, where he's been like, what can I do? How can I help her? What more can I do? And the answer there isn't to do more. It's to just back up, either because every other guy has done that. So you need to change the pattern. You need to back up. You need to give her space and let her realize, oh shit, if I keep running this pattern, I'm going to lose this guy. And, I'm a big believer in takeaway selling. So when she said, like, just back up, that's exactly what I do. I'm dating a girl right now who has this pattern wherever anything goes wrong with us, maybe I make some asshole comment by accident. Happens sometimes,
why
right?
would you do that?
Why would I ever? It's shocking, right? Just close
Exactly.
out. But if I ever do that, her response is to just run. And she'll be like, I'm sleeping at my mom's tonight. And she'll try and take off. And I back up. 5 minutes later, she comes back, and she came to the conclusion herself that, oh, shit, this is what I've done with every other guy, and I don't want to lose this guy, so I'm going to stay here. We're going to talk about this. And
I love that. Yeah. It's funny. I have the same situation with my husband, fight or flight. You can either be a fighter or you're a flighter. Or a flightier? I don't even know what it's called.
A pilot.
But yeah, a pilot, exactly. But my husband is a flighter or whatever the hell it's called, and I'm a fighter. And so, I would continuously fight with him when he was trying to flight, and it would freak him out, and he would get angrier and angrier. And then I learned after like year 6 to just back off and let him be. And it's totally changed the way that we have arguments because we don't allow it to escalate to that level. The escalation started because I would try to fight against his flight. He was just uncomfortable and needed a moment, and I wasn't allowing him to have that as a human being. So I love what both of you have just said. That's true. Like, change the behavior or leave.
Or leave.
Absolutely. That's the best solution. I love that. I have a whole bunch of overanalyze this questions. Are you guys ready for overanalyze this? It's a segment that we do where people send us in questions, and we used to call it analyze this, but we realized we overanalyze it. So we've relabeled it. And again, this whole baby brain, we may have done some of these before, so stop me if you've heard it before. Probably like the 6th time that we've answered some of these questions. Okay. I love your podcast.
They stop believing in us when we have a different answer each time we do it.
Yeah, they're like, wait a second, you said something totally different last time. But I am insanely frustrated because... Oh, you contradict yourselves constantly.
Me?
You claim... No, I'm just saying, like...
You just said that.
Just said that.
Oh, that's funny.
Because you contradict yourselves constantly. You claim women want the nice George Costanza type guy who just wants to hang out and makes you feel at home. Yet you also claim the same guy is wimpy and in the friend zone. So which is it? Thank you, Lee from New York City.
There's a difference. Because you don't have to be in the friend zone to have a good... chemistry and easygoing chemistry with somebody that you're dating. In my personal experience, I have this. I have people say, like, "Can you stop mentioning Seinfeld?" I have an obsession with Seinfeld.
I do too.
Okay, good.
It's good. There's not an episode I haven't seen.
Love it. We could be here all day long.
We will
just reciting lines. But basically, I always just kind of say, I'd rather date a George Costanza than this like Brad Pitt who thinks he's the head honcho of everything. And so I think people get a little bit confused. And it's not that I want to date George Costanza, a balding man with no job. I'm not saying that.
Wimp, but doesn't notice exactly. Doesn't stand up for himself.
Right.
Exactly.
Like I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that he can be self-deprecating. He's down to earth to an extent. He's a little bit narcissistic, even though he shouldn't be. But it becomes more of a... I don't know. I really actually don't know how to explain
She's got a wand in her hand. She's like, I have no fucking clue. I'm not going to contradict myself again. So here's the thing. There's a big difference between being a nice guy and a wimp. Every woman I know wants to be with a nice man, but they don't want a man that they can walk all over, they can treat like shit, a guy who doesn't stand up for himself, state his opinions, a man who puts them on a pedestal instantly because they have a pretty smile. That's not who we want to be with. We want men who make us feel excitement as well as comfortable, who can be vulnerable as well as comfortable in their own skin and owning the things that they say, do, and want. That's what we're looking for. So
my whole thing is I always tell guys, don't be nice, be kind. And there's a difference.
Yeah, you've said it before on this.
Nice is like there's a fakeness to it. It's like you see those fake smiles and stuff. That's what nice is. I don't think anyone appreciates nice because it's inauthentic. But being kind is when you're doing it on your own terms. You're not doing it because you want something from her. You're doing it because you actually like being kind to somebody. So my whole thing is I always say is be kind in a context of strength. So she needs to know first that you are a strong person. You have strong beliefs. You have boundaries. You have standards. You have all those things. And once that's been established, then you can be kind. Then you can just play around with her and be self-deprecating once in a while, like George Costanza. But I'm just curious why you chose George over Jerry.
Over Seinfeld.
Yeah, everyone likes Jerry.
Oh, well, no, of course, no.
You look like Jerry, too.
I do. Oh, good.
You're like that episode. What's
This
the
is like
episode
her favorite day now.
Where he
ever.
it's Janine we're too similar.
Yes, you look like her.
That's funny.
And
Yeah.
so you look like him.
Yeah.
When they order cereal at the diner at 1 a.m. Yeah.
Believe me, Jerry's my,
You're going to walk home on cloud 9. That was like your best compliment ever.
I know, it really is. I wouldn't pick Jerry, and just in like using as an example. Basically, I was trying to say when I said I would go with a George Costanza over like a Brad Pitt, was basically I was trying to say, like, I would rather be with a guy who doesn't have everything going for him that I could have fun with than a guy who has everything going for him and is super handsome, but I have nothing in common with.
You want a loser.
I don't want to. I would.
That's
so
what
what
I
you're
heard over
saying?
here.
No,
I
you
date
want to
losers.
lose.
what I'm saying is I would rather be with someone who is a genuine loser than someone who's a disingenuous winner. That's essentially what
There
I'm
you go.
saying.
I love
it.
You guys
There you
get
go.
it?
So you
I
say
totally get it. I'm on board with
value
you.
Genuine over success.
Heidi's like, yes,
Yes.
I get it. I
That's
know what
Yes.
you're talking about.
But of course, if someone put Jerry in front of me, I'd be like, "What's up? Let's go out. Let's hang out."
George, great meeting you. I'll see you later.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's over. I'm
Jerry
sorry
is
about
worth
that.
$800 million. So
Don't ask me. I date drug dealers. So
There you go.
clearly I like the bad
I
boys.
love that.
She's a
I love
Kramer.
that.
She's a Kramer over here.
Yeah.
Bad boy who's kind. Sometimes.
Did you marry
There you go. But that's interesting. You want the bad boy who's kind. You don't want them to be assholes to you.
No,
right.
no.
There's
You
a
know,
difference that men can't really discern.
There's a fine line. There is a fine line because
What
at
is
the
the
end
fine
of the
line?
day, a woman wants the reason why we choose husbands and men is because we want protectors, we want providers, we want stability, and the wimps don't appear to have those qualities. And so that is the reason why we go for the guys who embrace those qualities, who have those qualities. And so if you I don't know that George would necessarily be a protector because he ran when
he
they
wouldn't
set the
protect.
room on fire,
He would
the kitchen
throw-
on fire.
Oh yeah, he'd throw me in front of the car.
Every episode he ran.
Right.
He
Every
ran.
Yeah, it wasn't just that episode. Every episode he
He's
ran.
not a provider because he
doesn't
doesn't have a
provide.
job.
Right.
And so, but I think that's essentially what a woman wants at the end of the day. They want
Yeah.
someone to protect them, to provide for them, and to stabilize their lives.
So
And
why is the bad boy appealing then? Like, what are the characteristics that women are like, okay, that guy's got it?
I think the bad boy is appealing because we also search for that fantasy. It's that fantasy thing.
I know,
right?
we're both nodding.
Yeah, it's the fantasy portion of the relationship that we think he's going to grab us and snatch us in his arms and then give us that mad, passionate kiss that the dude that works at Merrill Lynch is simply not going to do.
Right. No, it's absolutely true. But they're even like what you were saying before with the bad boy, like, if we think that they have the ability to do those things, they could also provide, and they could
do that to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
Exactly. Okay, next question. So this one had a subject line that said, "Kristen freaking rocks." Why does nobody give me any attention?
Because I tell them on air if you guys write like a subject line.
Well,
about
I'm
me, we'll
depressed
answer your
now
question.
too. Okay, so make nice
about
lines about
Marni?
me.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Kristen's so awesome." I'm like, do you know that I'm receiving these and crying when I read them? You horrible people. Okay,
you're married.
So she said, "I know that's the thing. I'm married and a mother now, so
That's
I need
true,
it
you
even
need
more
it.
so." Somebody told me, "What's the best way to avoid being raped?"
Being married.
Yeah, well, becoming a mother or turning 30. That's what they said.
Oh yeah, it's
Turning
horrible.
30?
Yeah.
Oh, has it gotten lower? The age
It
is
was horrible. It was horrible.
At
30's
least
not
becoming
that
40.
old.
Good God! I'm like, it's true. Oh my God! So can I say that? So my au pair today, she's like,
That's a nanny for everyone
sorry.
who lives in the real world.
But she's a better one because she's like from Ecuador. She's fantastic. Carla's. She's going to be on the show too and talk to her about like being Ecuadorian and dating and single in LA. But she was saying, she's like, I've noticed a lot of guys when I cross the street make those kissy sounds.
I said that the other day on Loveline.
I know you did, but I haven't heard any kissy sounds for a very long time. I was like,
the
no, they
kissy
don't.
sound?
Like, hey, sweetie. And I was like, wait. I'm like, when do they do this? And she's like, all the time.
You're not.
And I
in
was
the
like, what?
You need to get to some trashy areas. You'll hear it.
I walked everywhere this morning just spatting you. Sorry.
It's
But
like
I
walking
did
around
not.
town waiting for
I
someone.
know. I was like, Jesus, what's going on?
I'll
But I
drive
have
by
been
and
getting
do
picked
it.
up with my stroller a lot lately. Like, I was like,
Nice.
I know. I'm like, really? You want moms? That's a weird fetish. Okay. Does flattering Kristen in the subject line still get your attention? Absolutely. It does, Melanie. Long time listener here. I first discovered your podcast on one of my road trips across Canada. Woohoo. I think I listened to 30 hours straight of your podcast. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Me too. I tried to listen to 5 minutes. I was like, oh.
You recently talked on one of your podcasts about dating someone with depression. First of all, Kudos for bringing it up. It's an important topic, and as I am dating someone with depression, it's comforting to hear of others going through the same thing. Also, thank you, Kristen, for talking with such ease about your own experiences. It's very refreshing, and you are very brave, whether you want to believe it or not.
Okay,
I left all this stuff in because I feel like you needed to hear it. Anyways, in that same podcast, you mentioned that some of Dr. Drew's podcasts have dealt with similar issues, and I was wondering if you could tell me specifically which ones. I subscribe to Loveline, but there's about 500 episodes. Also, any other resources that you may know of relating to supporting a significant other through their depression would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Melanie.
Oh God, I wish I had prepared for this because
I'm sorry. I should have sent you this before.
I don't know any actual. The thing is, I've gone through a lot of depression, but my boyfriend was the one looking at websites and things. I don't know what he was looking at specifically, but he did actually get on message boards and chat boards or whatever they're called and talk to other people with spouses or significant others with depression. So I know that those are available. Also, I think having them be able to maybe talk to someone on their own is a smart. So maybe if Melanie wanted to talk to someone as a therapist to help deal with it, because basically I was putting all this weight on his shoulders. Those were my bags. So I was just carry these, and they were just full of
just throwing them. Just take these
my 3-year-old memory, my memories as a 3-year-old or an 8-year-old. Yeah. So I think if he talked to somebody and didn't hold it all in, I think that's a really smart thing to do, because I know that he started to resent me for giving him problems. Right. So I think those are two things that you can do.
Are y'all still together?
Yes.
Oh.
We hate each other.
You ease up on him a little bit? Or?
No, I'm actually on antidepressants and stuff, which has changed my life for the better. So he's for the past.
Now, do you understand the George Costanza thing?
Totally. So for about the past year and a half, I've been on them, and it's made a huge difference. So and you can see that within our relationship.
Yeah. What about you guys? Have you ever been
I have
somebody?
a co-host on my radio show here in Los Angeles, and he suffers from major depression, and he takes medication as well. And I can clearly tell the difference when he's on his medication and when he's not.
Right.
So sometimes I do, have to wake up at night and answer his text messages and stuff, because we're kind of like a married on-air kind of couple.
Yeah.
And so we deal with each other every single day. So it's something that he talks about, because, I think that helps him as well when he talks about it.
Yeah.
So.
Does he have a significant other in his life at all?
No, I think his depression got worse when he broke up with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think it became, but he also sees a therapist every week faithfully,
right?
Almost like going to church,
right.
Faithfully, and that helps him a lot too.
That would mean where I come from, no, he doesn't ever go.
It's the same over here. But I would say that the one thing that Dr. Drew has said on the show, and I've said this on the show before, is that the first thing you have to acknowledge is that when you get into a relationship with somebody who does suffer from depression or suffers from an addiction, that you're getting into a relationship with two other people, them and their sickness, them and their illness, and then it's not on your shoulders. You're not the one who's making them sad. You're not the one who's making them smoke crack. You're not you have to understand that. So I think what you were talking about with going to support groups is fantastic, or seeing your own therapist while still dating that person, to give you tools so that you can handle the relationship, not with ease, because it's still really challenging and difficult when you're in the moment, but at least have tools so that you don't let it beat you down.
Right.
I think it's
and
hard.
What I would say to Melanie is never try to solve it either.
Right.
Because it's something that, as much as I'm close with my boyfriend, it's something that he doesn't understand. He doesn't get. He'll never be inside my head. He'll never go through what I've gone through. And when he would lay out let's, you just do this and just do that, and you'll be better.
It would infuriate you.
It's like you minimize what the person's going through. Mm-hmm. So of course, try to help them solve it by saying, I heard of this great psychiatrist, or whatever, things like that. But don't say just, get a job and spend more time outside and you'll be fine. Because
it's interesting.
You show you don't understand.
Everything's sort of tied, because it still goes back to what you said, Tammy. It's about embrace it or leave it.
Right.
Okay, you have to embrace that this is them and this is what's going on. And for even if you're dating a woman, forget about one with depression or an addiction, it's you embrace the baggage. You embrace the craziness, or you leave it. If you can't handle it, it's not for you. You got to walk away from it. That's the way either to get them to turn around, or to at least see the error of their ways, or for your own, salvation. You can walk away saying, this was not a situation for me, and now I'm happier possibly with somebody else or on my own. And even what you were, it's all full circle. It's fantastic.
And if she's looking for specific Dr. Drew episodes, I believe on Corolla.com or whatever the Adam Carolla's website is, I think they have write-ups on each episode in the archives. So she can go through, and rather than playing
Check
every episode.
out episode 327.
Yeah, on the Corolla Show. But I think
I don't
Drew's,
know.
I think
15
Drew's
minutes,
stuff.
29 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Changed my life.
No freaking clue. But that is
That's
true.
when
They
we
do
are.
have write-ups. Or at least at the title.
Yeah, they do.
Or
So-
Google depression, Dr.
Yeah, and see what he has to say.
Adam Carolla,
Yeah.
Amazing advice.
Or just do drugs.
Or just drugs. Yeah, if you can't beat him, join him. All right, that was a freaking long one. I will condense it and we'll use it next week. Okay, hey ladies, I would like to know how to get a wing gal. I don't go to bars, clubs, or parties all that much. Are there any specific ways to find a wing girl if there are no subtle candidates in your immediate circle? What are the do's and don'ts? And most importantly, how do I initiate this discussion of being my wing girl? Cheers, Ron.
You should take that. She's an official wing girl.
Wing girl.
I am the official wing girl, but I want to hear what you guys have to say because I would think that you have been wing girls at some point. Either you know it or you haven't known it. But what would be a way for a guy to ask you to be his wing girl to help him pick up women?
You can just ask me. I'm down. I'm
Right.
so ride or die. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be phrased any certain way. It's like you don't.
No, just hey.
I think it's exciting to say, "Do you want to be my wing girl?" Like
Is
that's
this
fun.
a guy or is this a girl who
It's
has
a guy.
Oh,
I
it's
will
a
be
guy.
your Robin. I will be the Robin to your Batman. I will be the Robin to your Howard Stern. I will be your Robin.
Perfect. I love it. But what are rules to give to these wing girls? Because like for me, as a wing girl, I actually I've introduced people. I've broken the ice, but mainly I coach men on how to do it themselves.
Right.
Let alone.
Well, I've never, in my experience, it's really easy, like she said, to get a girl to want to help you out. Like every girl, just by asking her, you're making her feel important, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck yeah, I'll take care of
Absolutely.
you." Like, watch this. I'll get you laid in 10 minutes. Watch this. And,
Exactly.
And she's all over the place. I can even remember a time when I was in college, and I did this with one of my friends, Morgan.
I was like last
And-
week.
Yeah.
So.
Got to get back to class in 20
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah. But we were at a bar, and I literally, I was like, "That girl over there, can you, get her over?" And she was like, "Watch this." 10 minutes later, the girl's over. She's like, "I've heard so much about you." And I'm just looking at Morgan like, holy shit. Like,
I'm
how much do I
using
owe you
this.
right now? Yeah. Just wanted, you said that because you said you chose the drug dealer route, but you also sounds like you chose the pimp route also. Getting her boys laid.
Yes, but I am the pimp.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like I do both.
I would say for the guy though looking for a wing girl, don't pick a girl that will make you look bad or look like a weirdo or something. Pick a girl that's like semi likable.
Find an attractive
yeah,
girl.
because
It'll
then
look a
it
lot better
makes
for
you
you.
have value.
And don't
you
pick a
can
girl
use-
that wants you.
Right.
Oh,
Because that's
actually,
gonna
you
get
do pick a
messy.
girl that wants
That's
you.
dangerous.
I would say that's
Well, but then she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to her." And then she comes back. She's like, she wasn't feeling it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But
Horrible
let's
wing
go.
girl.
Let's just get out of here. This place sucks. It's my
Exactly.
place. Yeah.
But you can actually use that. Like, I think that's a really fun challenge to do. If there is a girl and you're just like, okay, let's play a game.
Well, that's what I would
you
do.
You pick up people for me.
Especially, don't make it someone you just met at the bar, because then she's going to take it as invalidation.
Right.
She's not up to your level.
Yeah,
so
bad
you're gonna-
idea.
Yeah, but make it a girl you know. And the best thing you do if you really want to light the fire is be like, "I was here last week with another girl, and she was amazing. She got me 3 phone numbers. I'm just curious to see what you're going to do tonight." And then you kind of challenge her up.
I'm
and then,
ready to
And
be
then she's like,
challenged.
"Fuck this, watch me." And she's
Really?
all,
Even with the bracelets, you wouldn't want to do that?
Well, you did take the scarf off, which I'm very happy
like the
about.
scarf.
clothing
See?
comes off slowly.
Sexy. He
every
knows
20
how to
minutes.
do it. Maybe it's just me then. It's my thing.
I
All
think
right.
I am my co-host's wing girl.
I'm sure you
looking
are.
him up all the time.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're an awesome wing girl.
That's awesome. And if you
Sorry, I hate to interrupt you guys, but you're out. What is it? Al fruit? What kind of fruit was it?
Low
pear?
Al pear. That's what it was. Al pear. She just came in and thinks that the baby is starving because it's screaming.
He's not starving. I just fed him an hour ago. Do not leave this part in.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we will wrap it up then very shortly. Okay. All right. Well, Ron, I hope that answers your question. And I think we are done with overanalyze this because we are. Because I choose that we are done with overanalyze
Let's
this
analyze
right
the fact that we
exactly.
are now
Let's
overanalyzing.
talk about that, people. All right. But thank you so much to our amazing guest, Jason Capital, who was freaking late, but it was my fault. Apparently, I gave him the wrong address, and I'm taking full ownership of that. It's my responsibility.
Yes,
That's
I
taking
agree.
responsibility. Okay. But Jason Capital, you can find out
I
more
would have
about him.
purposely given you the wrong address.
Yeah, just like, do not come in. winggirlmethod.com/JasonC, and you will find out more information about him and how to be a stud with ladies. And Tammi Mac, why don't you talk a little bit about where to find you? Because you have a lot of things. You have a radio show, you have a one-woman show.
Yes.
Where should they find you?
You can find me. Well, first of all, you can follow me on Twitter at Ms Tammi